Hello, my name is Alicia, and I'm going to be talking about Reflection Assignment 8, which is going over judgment and reasoning. And I had 3 videos to watch, and something that I found to be a commonality within all of those were, do humans really understand why they work the way that they do, what drives them, and what drives our world? And personally, I really don't think that we do. But there's not a reason to fear not knowing what the world is doing and why we're doing what we're doing. We learn this as we go. And there's wonder and exploration and even fun that comes with not knowing what to expect. So, first thing is first, most people do try to avoid the thought of being wrong, being the one that makes mistakes. And we travel in a present sense, like if you've made a mistake in the past, you don't recall what mistake you made, maybe because some time has passed, and so you're in the present tense. You don't think about the past. You're living right now, and right now you haven't made a mistake to your knowledge. So what is there to be, anxious about? What is there to be, a little bit awkward about? And what was mentioned also in this video was that you can be a little embarrassed when you make mistakes. And it's because of the realization factor of you did make a mistake. And, to be wrong, again, is not a great feeling to have. And with that being said, to be wrong doesn't feel like anything, according to Catherine Scholes. And this led into a term called error blindness. And error blindness is whenever someone makes a mistake and doesn't realize that they're making a mistake. Like, the cues inside of the brain are like not aware that a mistake is taking place and that you're wrong. There's nothing there to notify you that you're doing something wrong. Error blindness. You're blind to the mistake. And we learned this young. And an example of this was whenever a student is known to be the troublemaker and the class had just finished taking an exam, the teacher finished grading it and is going through columns of tables to pass back the exam, and the student that is known to be a troublemaker made a C, which is not a great grade, and it's something that is expected. There are doodle marks on the side of the page, which, I mean, artists doodle, but I get what they're trying to say here. But the student has, a large C letter on the paper and, what looks to be messy drawings on the page. And that student is fitting into what I guess others would consider being an outlier to their standard. And for this, they start to identify that student as being weird, as being something they don't want to be, someone they don't feel is a good representation of what they want to be for themselves. And through this example, we can kind of get a grasp on certain people who, in the way of wanting to avoid being an outlier to normal ideals that they've got in their head, they do so much to achieve so much. They do the most. They go above and beyond. These people that wake up at 6 a.m. and go for a 5-mile run, and then they schedule time to, learn a new skill, and they've got this fantastic job. They just do more and more and more so that they don't ever have to worry about being seen as an outlier to whatever normal ideals that they have for themselves. And through this, certain functions for these people can also indicate that they will end up not knowing how to function if they make a mistake. They're not used to making mistakes because they fight so hard every day to be perfect, to be great, and will insist that through being so great at these things and through doing the extra step, doing the extra task to do more, that they didn't make the mistake. And it hurts their image almost if they are said to have made a mistake. And this is a dangerous idea. This is a dangerous way of thinking. And you can feel like you are right in a situation and also not be right. You could be the problem of a situation, be the person that made the mistake that caused a situation to happen, and not allowing oneself to take that accountability and realize that this was on me and that I can change this or I can do more to make this better, makes for more trouble to come in the future as people don't want to evolve from what they always know. And for ideas like not being able to make a mistake, or else they'll be ridiculed by society or by these ideas, their image of themselves, you can find this safe haven of seeing no mistakes and no flaws, and well, then just having a simple view of the world. And what was really urged in this video that I felt was being said by Catherine Scholes was that you should want to expand your view through making more mistakes, as human beings are made to make mistakes, to learn from their mistakes, and to do more with the knowledge they gain from understanding what the mistake was and what an alternative to the decision made would be like. And what I also found was there is a curious nature, this obsession within humans and animals to want to do more, to discover what the world is like and why the world works the way that it does. And this curiosity really does mold and create creativity. It makes us want to do more, be productive with whatever ideas conjured up from our curiosity bring. And that is why it's so important to really go outside of your comfort zone and explore and rediscover the wonder. And that comes from making mistakes. And I feel like that's very true. I mean, for me, I'm a college student and I want to really understand what I need to do in order to live the life that I want to live. And, I'm really young and I've got a lot of space to figure things out. And it's a scary idea to want to, do something I've never done before, like travel somewhere I've never been. And, it takes certain tools to really do these kind of things like traveling. But it's impactful to my view of the world. I desire to want to see somewhere else that's not the United States and different cultures, because through this I can find different perspectives of other people while also enjoying the fascinating things that I've never seen and new ideas I've never thought of. I want to expand my creativity, and I know that I can't know everything. I am not an all-knowing being, and no humans are. And, that's fine, because that sounds like a stressful job to know everything and, have all the answers. Um, boring life, boring life. That's my perspective, at least. So, and I would also believe that perception, how I see the world is not how everyone else sees the world, and how everyone else sees the world is unique to themselves. And with this, you can affect your cognition with how you may take in information while also, taking information from what you already know from your long-term memory and, seeing the world the way that you do. So it's practically impossible for anybody to have the same view of the world because we've got all different experiences. So, it's really important to just take in the world and be open-minded to other views because it's more of a life's journey to be open instead of closed off and safe. The next video is talking about functional fixedness or fixedness. It's the idea of understanding the tool that you're using, right? For example, and using that tool only for the way that it was designed to be used. And with this fixedness, you're very, very narrow in your idea. And what I take from this is there are multiple ways to use tools, even if there was just a very particular design use for this said tool, for any tool. And we've got this thing called the candle problem. And the candle problem is where you've got a candle, you've got a box of tacks, little pins that you can stick in a wall, and you've got, a wall, and you've got to figure out how to make the candle stand up and not melt onto the table. And people can kind of make it a harder task because they don't realize that the box that's holding the tacks could be used as a platform instead of just a box for carrying the tacks, and so on and so forth. Functional fixedness, to think of something in just one way instead of thinking of it in multiple ways. And we talk about business in this video and how it's always worked to provide incentives for employees to use in order to want to work more. And speaker Dan Pink, wanted to really differentiate what makes business not so much in the times. It's a little bit of an outdated way of thinking about it, like with your rewards and punishment system, where you reward when they do a good job, when employees do a good job, or you punish, instilling fear in order for them to do more. These ideas are not examined to fit the current stage that we are as a society and generation. And what was also mentioned was with rewards, with reward system, the idea for a reward system works well when the tasks are simple. All of the rules within this task are stated, and you know exactly what you need to do, and it doesn't take more effort from your cognition to really do the job. Almost automatic. And in this regard, reward system would be a great, tool. However, if you were to take your typical situation that you endure on a daily basis, or maybe not on a daily basis, but if you take a problem that you go through, real life situation, it might not be as simple, and it's more complex, requires a lot more thought, and that reward system isn't going to be the best tool for accomplishing this situation or reaching your goal. And that is where we kind of need to adjust, to update. so to speak. And so Dan Pink, talks about what the science knows and what the business knows. So science, tells us that intrinsic motivators are what give high results and high satisfactory presentation whenever we talk about people wanting to do the work. And this desire stems from having an interest in something, or this task being important, or because it matters, because the task they're doing matters. And I thought that it was a little bit similar to being important, like, the task matter, or mattering. I just thought that those two were really similar, but I thought that it was a good three ideas, because he eventually talks about autonomy, mastery, and purpose being intrinsic motivations that people who are in like those higher positions should really have a foundation with their business or their entity. And so with this, you can, for this particular video, be of service to something that is bigger than yourself. And this is something that everybody, I think, can relate to, being a part of something, belonging. This all happens within humans because humans thrive when they are with other humans. So it only makes sense for, there to be some kind of unity within people to want to do more with other beings. And autonomy is very good for engagement. What was said in this is management. This is really traditional, and it's great for getting people to comply. But if you're wanting for people to really like connect and build and have some kind of want to engage, you should have self-direction, which is guided by people wanting to do what they really think is gonna work for themselves, instead of being led by the entity, so to speak. You do the job, but you do the job the way you want to do the job by the time the job needs to be done. And I could not help but feel that this would be perfect for college. And I understand that maybe as a freshman you don't have the ideas and the knowledge to do the things you need to do on time, maybe because high school didn't prepare you really well. That's me. I was one of those students. But I do think that having some sort of self-direction, having that autonomy, knowing what I need to do, but making my own schedule, would be such a stressless task. And I feel that I would want to do more than what I'm just told to do. And I really liked how Dan Pink mentioned that in order for this to work, money does not need to, be kept away from workers. Like, it needs to be equal and sufficient pay. Like, pay the workers what they earn and what they deserve, and not be stingy and, not give them the money they worked hard for. That's the main concern here, I think, because I'm wondering if it's even worth working if you're not getting the money that you need to live a good life, a stable life, right? Having bills to pay and food to, eat, and children to feed, to do self-care. There's, so much that relies on money in a person's life. And for businesses and corporations to choose to not give the workers that are making their businesses run the money that they deserve is very infuriating. Like, I wonder why they feel it is, okay, why they feel that it is the fair thing to do for these people. And this is an ongoing problem that's been happening for quite some time in every place, I feel, though. And there are some like very special diamonds in the rough businesses that don't have these really poor habits and treat their workers fairly and pay them what they deserve. And I just can only hope that the United States and other entities and other countries do the same. And so all in all, I do think that with having these intrinsic motivations, everybody's got them, we could really do so much more than what we do currently as people with these skills and people with these interests, because this reward and punishment system is so like not what we need, and is proven to not give us the rates that we want. The success rate is not as good as it would be had we used intrinsic motivation. So it's in the statistics, and I am truly looking forward to finding a company in the future where I'm needing to do something for my career, where I get paid the way that I should, and I really find that love and that desire to explore, and to use that creative outlet that I have to really dig my feet in and do more for the world. And lastly, we have the video of truly questioning if we make our decisions. I don't feel like we do, but I mean, this really tells us that we don't. Dan Ariely told the audience that we are illusioned into thinking that we make our own decisions, and it's through certain methods that this is conjured up, and that we are not really making decisions. We feel like we do because we are actively choosing certain things, like we choose the clothes out of our closet, or we decide not to eat something over something else that we maybe would have eaten. And through these little decisions that we make, we feel that we are in control and that we are autonomous people with minds that can really say no whenever we need to say no. A very good working central executive system. But Dan Ariely, really doesn't say that we do. So is it true? I really find this hard to believe as a human being, but I allow it. And I am open-minded. Dan Ariely tells us that decision making can be challenging and can be complex, which I do agree with, and we don't know what to do, and we, through not knowing what to do, allow for the choices that we are given to really push us towards wherever we're supposed to go, from wherever people or companies or ideas of social norms tell us to go. And it's really easy. It's easy to be led and not think deeply about these decisions, because we've got so many other things to worry about, and we've got limited capacity for all of the things that we can prioritize. And make this an easy process and keep going, yes, totally. Make this harder? No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. And human beings are said to not know how to understand the decisions needed to be made when faced with multiple options. And if I can understand this correctly, I think that this is true whenever I go someplace like to an ice cream shop and I am looking at the options. I get overwhelmed because I'm like, wow, I don't know what I want because there's so many to choose from. But if there were fewer, if there were 3, it would be easy. But what if I want this one? What if I want that one? What if I want this one? What if I want the other one over there? You know, they all sound good, but I should not be given so many options. Otherwise, I'm most likely going to freeze a little bit. And, you know, if someone is with me and they say, hey, go for that one, it's a likelihood that I will, because it's an easier decision than what I have to go through, which is thinking. Thinking. Why is it so grueling of a task to think? And the last thing is that we can totally like see our physical capacity and we can know what our limitations are, but when it comes to our mental limitations, we don't really see them because they're mental. They're not physically in front of us and we visually can't see them. So it's harder for us to really put those boundaries in place for us to be successful. And if we were to take in more care for what we are mentally capable of, it would be probably an easier experience. So if you are a college student and you are a freshman and are thinking that you can handle all of these classes and you put yourself on 7 to 6 classes for 16 credit hours, or for I think 18 credit hours, you might be struggling a bit because this is a lot of work for someone that's just becoming a college student and learning to adjust to life outside of living at the house, or you know, if they live in a college dorm, anything like that. And I know that it's easier to remember what you are capable of, but it's a little bit challenging to really understand what you're not capable of when it comes to newer experiences. And so it's just, I agree with Dan Ariely that it's important to really understand a situation, think about it a little bit more carefully instead of just being led to choose something, because it could be a mistake in the long run to just have people shove you this direction, because it may not be what you're running to do. And people can be finicky with what they want to do, but it's important to really stand firm with choosing along with making the decision carefully. And that's what I got from these videos. So thank you.